so much, Marcia. It is a pleasure to greet each and every one of you. As we said, we're going to have the plenary session of Magda Wood. Before proceeding, I would like to make some comments. For the sake of making things to Magda, I'm going to switch to English. So those people that are getting to this plenary in Zoom, please, in the bottom part of the screen, you're going to find a globe icon, and you can choose this language that you want to listen to.
Welcome. Good afternoon for you. It's a pleasure to have you here. Before you say hi, I'm just going to tell the audience a little bit about who you are so that they can further understand why we're so thrilled to have you here. Magda joined the Microbit Educational Foundation as Chief of Learning in 2018. She has 20 years experience working in education technology, devising and creating award-winning digital products for teachers and students. Previously, at the Times Educational Supplement, TES, Magda led the growth of the world's largest digital library of teacher-created lesson resources across more than 20 curriculum subjects. At Microbit, Magda is responsible for the educational direction of the foundation's work, including teacher professional development, lesson planning and resourcing, and classroom uses of the Microbit device. She works with teachers and education systems across the world to embed foundational computing with the Microbit into the school curriculum. As Marce was saying, she will now present the keynote entitled The BBC Microbit Around the World, Celebrating Teachers and Students Taking Ownership of Technology. And how we suggest this panel should work is you will present it, and then we'll have a specific time for Q&A from the audiences. For those who are watching via Zoom, you can access the Q&A button and input your questions there. For those who are listening to us via our social media platforms, please feel free to give us your questions as well. We have a team that are compiling them, and hopefully we'll get a chance to respond to as many as possible at the end of your presentation. So without further ado, good afternoon for you, Magda. Thank you very much for joining, and welcome to our International Public Policy Dialogue. Lovely to have you here.
Hi, Laura. Good morning, everybody. Hi, and hello from London. I'm based here, and I'm very pleased to take part today. Thank you very much for inviting me to join, and it's a brilliant forum to be taking part in, and I really enjoyed the presentation from Andreas Schleicher. Always interesting and valuable because of the level of insight that they have into the world's education systems and what students are telling them about what they're learning, as well as in that assessment. So yeah, a brilliant first presentation and a hard act to follow.
But I'm sure you can do more than well. So please feel free. I'm going to turn my camera off. Feel free to share your presentation whenever you want.
I will. So what I'm going to do is get the presentation up, and then I'm just going to switch screens so that when I put the slideshow feature on, watch my fantastic skills here. Here we go. Okay, so I think everybody can see stuff. So if not, please give me a shout. Okay, fab.
We can see perfectly. Thank you.
So I am here today to share with you a world of children's ideas. One of the things that I'm really lucky to experience in my role in our organisation is to get to read and watch videos and look at children's drawings, as well as the code they've written and the projects and the prototypes that they create, to see how they express their ideas and communicate their work in various ways. And what we see is a wealth of children's ideas and innovations coming through in the work that they're doing when they're using the microbit in their classrooms. It's worth stating that all of those children's educational contexts are different. The emphasis on learning and the subject matter that they have varies. But what they have in common is that they're all having brilliant ideas and doing something with that. Today, I will talk about kids taking ownership of technology with their teachers. So a little bit about who we are quickly. The Microbit and the Foundation story begins in the UK. We are an international organisation and we work in partnership with education systems in over 60 countries. The Microbit itself came from the BBC education project, which was called Make It Digital, which was an investment in the promotion of digital skills and computing subject knowledge as curricula was being introduced and changing things in the education system here in the UK. And since then, the BBC created an independent organisation. The BBC still sits on the board, but we are independent and we're a non-profit organisation. So everything that the organisation makes as revenue is invested back into the work that we do, so that the Microbit can be made very, very affordably, and also everything that comes with it for teaching and learning is made available for free. So, so when I take a step back and look at the different uses of the device in different classrooms, different contexts, there are things that we see that where there are things in common. And what we see around the world is digital creativity, children developing ideas, moments of inspiration, and using their critical thinking skills, developing their computational thinking skills, and innovating with that. We see teachers and students taking ownership of technology and making things that matter to them. And we see those students devising their own ideas based on their own experience of the world. And I think that's a very strong expression of ownership in the learning that is happening when kids are embracing learning about technology, because they're not just experiencing didactic formats of education as described in the previous presentation. They are getting hands-on to explore, experiment, and to build their understanding of how things work with technology and what makes it work. That's an important piece for me, their ownership of that as they go on that journey. So a couple of things about what we value as an organisation. In terms of democratizing technology and access to technology education, but also in general terms about education too. We believe in equal access for education for girls and boys, the importance of digital technologies and literacies and skills for all, the need to reduce barriers of access for children living in different social and economic contexts around the world. So a lot of the work that we do might include fundraising in order to make access to teacher training and also access to the Microbit device itself available for free, so that those kids are not excluded from learning. And we value the role of teachers in the classroom. We believe it's vital for all of us to understand how computing technologies work and how they impact our lives, and to have experience of learning to make things with technology, because it's in that process that that you really develop your understanding. And then the process of applying your knowledge to create ideas relevant to your experience of the world, to our experience of the world, those things matter to us as an organisation, and they inform the work that we do and the values that we apply to our work. Here's a lovely quote that I use lots. It came from the BBC Education Research quite a few years ago now, but I use it because I think there's a universal truth that teachers are very, if not the greatest, they are the strong influences of kids when it comes to engagement with learning when they're in the classroom. And this specifically is about kids' engagement with coding, because it was a research study into the impacts of learning with the microbit and learning computing with the microbit. But it's a great quote. Gives us good focus on thinking about teachers and working with teachers. And I like to share it with people. So I'm going to move on now, and we're going to look at some work developed by a student called Hannah in Costa Rica. And before we look at the detail of stuff, let's have a video that shows us what Hannah's prototype looks like and how it works.
Magda, if you meet, if
Sorry, I pressed mute there for a minute, and
perdón, silencio por un minuto.
In front of the fabulous music.
Y perdí la maravillosa música que estaba sonando.
Let's move on. So what I love about Hannah's project is it's in action, it's happening, it's working, and she's using it. And in that prototype, what we're seeing is lots of work that Hannah's done. And just to give you a bit of a flow through the pieces and the thinking in the design of what she's created, I've just got some stuff on screen here. You know, it's quite self-explanatory, but she wanted to, and we can have a look, create a tool that helped people to conserve water usage for a couple of different reasons. Mostly because water is a scarce source, especially clean drinking water. And but she wanted to encourage people to wash their hands and to maintain hygiene standards during the worst parts of the COVID pandemic, and designed this little device that allows you to monitor how much water you're using, how long you're using water for, when you're carrying out different activities. Might be washing your hands, having a shower, having a bath, for example. And she successfully had that thoughtful process of planning and designing what it is she wants to achieve, what she wants the product to do, and how it's going to work. And then from a computing perspective, she has, as you can see through the example code here that she provided to us with the project, is she's working with a sophisticated level of programming concepts in here in order to program the microbit so that it works in the way that she wants it to work. Because the microbit's got lots of sensors on it, and a couple of outputs, especially the LEDs that were providing the instructions that we saw there. And what she's done is she's made that happen. Because the microbit's features are versatile, you need to learn to program the features to make them work in the way that you want your product to work. So she's done a fantastic job on many levels, and it's a really great example of the degree of thinking and planning and design and knowledge acquisition and application of what you know and what you're learning in this piece of work that Hannah's created. And the best part about it, when we asked her, what have you learned when you've done all these tremendous things, is she says, I realised that there are many ways in which we as kids can help others with the project we create. So she's also designed something thinking about other people, thinking about the impact and the change that she can have with water scarcity through the product that she's designed. So I love that project, and it's another one that I like to share with people. And I really like Hannah's statement at the end. So a bit about the mission of the work that we do. So our vision statement is, the work that we do is designed to inspire every child to create their best digital future. So that means taking different routes to that at different paces and finding their own way there. It's not about fast tracking to becoming maybe a programming engineer, for example. It's about understanding technology and working out what it is and how it matters to you. So there are 6 million microbits around the world, and we have 25 million children learning with the microbit right now. And the microbit is just 6 years old. So as a young foundation, our foundation is 6 years old too. We have lots more work to do, but we're really pleased that the work that we do has such broad impact so far. So the next section, I thought we could look at some of the shared experiences worldwide that we see in the different education systems, all looking to achieve similar goals, which is to introduce computing or introduce digital skills to school children, to improve access to technology equipment that's required to do that, to have the funds to make those programs happen, and the teachers who are equipped well enough to teach and support learning in school. So some of the commonalities across the programs: education system readiness. No doubt lots of things that are familiar here to colleagues who are on the call today. So the digital infrastructure, being able to access the equipment, having access to equipment that works, the resources to make it happen, the funding, and getting students interested. One of the things that the microbit is very good at, that all of the research evidence backs up, is that learning with the microbit, with physical computing, with that experimentation, it motivates children to learn more, it interests students. And that is a fantastic result for teachers, because of course teachers every day, they see their class, they plan their lessons, they want to keep their students interested. And so relevance to children's lives, relevance to a broad range of students' interests, and opportunities to learn computing and technology in more than just a single subject. There's a value in the interdisciplinary links at school, because this is technology and industry and business and the world around us and how we use it ourselves. It is not a single isolated thing. It's part of everything that we do and experience in the world. So one final point on this, which is start with young children. We are very interested in broadening access and equitable access to technology for girls and for boys. And what we know is that in the early primary years of education, girls and boys are forming views and opinions about how they see themselves in relation to different subject disciplines and what future subject disciplines might bring to their lives. And we want to make sure that kids get good experiences with technology and with the technology relating to science and maths and creative arts, etc., early, so that they can make their own opinions before they start forming their views about computing. And here's a brilliant example from a child in the UK whose name is Adit. He is about to present for us a project that he has created, where he's applied technology to the uses of technology, to what he's been learning in his geography lessons about the experience of life for people in coastal communities and island communities, and the impacts of, for example, he includes thinking about natural disasters that can experience relating to living close to the sea. So I'll let him do the talking himself, but it's a brilliant example of a child demonstrating what they're capable of, which is vast. His language and his understanding of his geography, subject learning is really, really impressive. And then the ability to take his knowledge about technology and what he's been learning in computing and applying that to a small computer system that he's created for these communities is just terrific. So here we go. Here's Adit.
My name is Adit, and this is my final Young Scientist project. I made a smart village project. The smart village is based on a seashore with a beautiful beach. At the same time, on the other side of the village, over here, is a river. Because of this natural beauty, it attracts tourists a lot, who come for a relaxing holiday. But because of this water surrounding it, it's prone to natural calamities, even though the dam over here is controlling the river. There's a high chance that when it rains heavily, which it does in this part of the world, then the dam might overflow and the river will get flooded, which also endangers the villagers. And over here, the island is also prone to tremors, which are like small earthquakes, which then will cause two big waves, which may harm the villagers. So, to stop this, my project will allow the villagers to be alerted in time to go to a safe place before these calamities happen. So this tower over here has the village's main light source, which is this lamp over there. And it is also equipped with the features to switch it on and off if it is dark or light. So now if I shine a torch on it, which will act as the sun, the light will go off to save electricity. And now when I put the torch off, the light comes on again. Similarly, the island is prone to tremors. So now if a tremor's coming, it shakes. And then this microbit shows a wave animation and makes an alarm which alerts the villagers that big waves are coming. Now let's have a look at how the warning on the riverside works. So this is the dam over here and this is the river. So if I put some water in the dam, which is this container which is acting as it, if I put water in it, before it gets full, it will make a noise and flash the light and ring an alarm and show a cross which goes on and off. So this system will alert the villagers when either of these problems will happen, or like the angry sea giving big waves, or this river over here flooding. It allows the villagers to go to a safer place in time before the calamities happen. Now I'll show you how I made it. So this microbit here these two wires are connected to the lamp, which keeps it on when it's daytime or nighttime. And these two green wires over here are connected to the dam. So because this is dirty rainwater, when the circuit gets complete, which will, with dirty rainwater is a conductor of electricity, so the circuit will get complete. From this crocodile clip here to this crocodile clip here, the circuit will get complete, and it will sound an alarm. Now over here, when it shakes, there's a microbit over here which sends a message to this microbit, which then shows the animation of the waves and sounds the alarm. Thank you.
Wow, it's a long video, but it's so full of a beautiful illustration of how much this child knows about what he's doing here. And I think it's a fantastic example of a young person who's really got ownership of their understanding and their knowledge and what they're doing. And when we asked him, how's he been inspired by this work? He said he wants to continue working on more creative ideas for the future and implement them using the latest technology. I've got no doubt that, like Hannah, ADIT will go on to make great success, whatever it is that they choose to do. What we see when we work with people in schools around the world is that we see people looking for opportunities to apply technology and computing into a wide range of subjects. Actually, there's a strong interest in this to make those connections to what else other children what else children are learning. And that point about building on what children already know, what they're already learning, making connections is really important. And it we see it used time and again to great success. We also see many places investing in the professional development of their teachers to ensure that they have enough teachers to give kids these experiences, but also as an investment in the teaching profession in their country. It's phenomenal. And like I'd said before, start early, start young. The microbit typically is used with children between 7 and 14 years old, and it's intended to target that age group. I mean, it's used at university level with undergraduate students too. It's varied, but we really focus on the school use in my team. So some of those pieces about the things that people have in common when setting up education programs, and looking at the barriers to learning and the amount of work and time and commitment and funding that's required to get these things off the ground. Let's have a look at what we're learning as the benefits, and specifically the benefits of including the microbit in the programme. So we look at students and teachers in the research that we do, and also other, within education programmes too. We bring this together and publish it all through the website, microbit.org. And so what are we learning? Children are motivated to learn more about technology with the microbit. It's good. I'm pleased to see this. And teachers become more confident in their ability to teach students about digital technologies and computing. An important piece. 90% of students said that the microbit showed them that anybody can code, and 70% of teachers who are less confident in programming felt more confident after using the microbit in the context of computing and technology in school. And girls are more motivated to learn about digital technologies when learning with the microbit. And teachers without specialist subject knowledge and skills find it easy and simple to learn how to use the microbit and how to teach this subject matter with it. 70% of girls said that they would choose computer science as a subject after having had lessons including the microbit. And 100% of teachers felt microbit was a useful teaching tool. 81% of them said that they'd learned something new using the microbit. So what is great about the product is that girls and boys both identify with it. It's not perceived as a gendered technology product. And this makes a big difference when thinking about increasing access and making sure that you've got an inclusive curriculum. Teachers less confident in programming feel more confident after using the microbit. And so the information goes on. What it tells us, and this is coming from several impact studies that we've done in the last few years, plus what we see when we look around at the educational uses and the impact studies within systems, is that they all say the same thing, which is that girls and boys are both motivated to learn computing and technology when they're learning with the microbit, and that they, unsurprisingly, on the motivation point, because they find it engaging and exciting, that encourages them to go on and learn more. Helpfully, teachers find it a useful tool. It's designed to be really simple because we know that this is a big long-term process of helping people to learn new subject matter, right, from a teaching perspective. And I like this final piece here, which is 97% found that the device was perfect for improving algorithmic thinking, helping people to understand about the design process before you go into programming to make things work. So let's have a little look at who we are and how we work, because we're a UK-based organisation, but actually we have colleagues around the world, and we work in partnership with international technology companies, including Microsoft and Arm. We also have the BBC on the board of the organisation, and we work very closely with the British Council. The Institute of Engineering and Technology in the UK is one of our founding partners too, as is Lancaster University and Nominet, which is a British-based company that manages the domain registration and wonderful world of the internet in the UK. So, as I said earlier, we're a young organisation. We're independent of the BBC. We work as a non-profit organisation, and we have strong international partnerships, and we collaborate worldwide. So I think the strength of the organisation is in the partnerships that we have, because no matter, actually, we're a modestly sized team, but actually, even if we were a huge team, it's not up to us to provide all the answers. We have to work with people who are experts in their own fields, in their own education systems, who are looking to make progress, who understand the context that their teachers and their students are living in. And so how do we do this? So we're responsible for the research and development of the microbit as a tool. And so we intentionally make it simple to use, easy to learn with, and flexible and adaptable. It can work if you don't have access to the internet. You do need some technology equipment like a laptop, for example, but it doesn't have to be a fancy, expensive one. And it works on mobile too. We have a commitment to offer free software products and free educational resources that runs alongside that. So where we work in partnership, we also do so to raise funding to make the microbit device available for free to education programs. We advise and contribute to the development of programs and curricula. And we work with teachers in different places around the world in order to continue to make the microbit useful and relevant for what kids need to learn. So some things that are new from us this year. We've introduced professional development courses, and we're about to launch a brand new Python programming tool. what's next from us. We'll be looking specifically at data science and machine learning, and bringing that to the world in the next year or so. So we've introduced working with digital data. We recently released some features that allow you to do data logging with the device, so capturing information through the sensors such as light, temperature, sound, downloading that and working with digital data that you've captured from your own environment. So that's really probably enough about our organisation. But I would certainly say, we enjoy a fantastic relationship with the team here in Colombia. We're a strong partner of the British Council, and we welcome partnerships. So please do, if there are things that we can help with, we would be very happy to help. So please do let us know. So what is the microbit? I've talked about the microbit a lot. We've seen some kids using it. Here we go. This is the front and the back of the pocket-sized computer. It's a small piece of hardware that's very intelligent. It's got lots and lots of sensors. It's got radio, which means that it can send messages between microbits and between groups of microbits. As a child, you can build and use your own network using the radio feature. It's got an accelerometer, so it's got 7 different inputs based on gesture control. So you can do really interesting things just by designing it to understand, designing in code to understand which way it's being moved and to use that as a trigger for a new event. So there's lots that it can do. And just so you can see the size of it, here's a nice photo of some kids with lots of microbits on a table. So it's not fantastically big. That's why we call it the pocket-sized computer. So before I go on, I thought it might be quite fun to watch a little video to do our own lesson ourselves, to learn a bit about what a computer processor is. So some of the subject matter, what's a computer processor? Where do you begin describing, as a non-specialist, what a computer processor is and how it works and why it's important, what's its job in a computer system? So some of the things that we've done is we've created little videos.
A processor is a piece of hardware that is sometimes called the brains of a computer. This is because it is the part that receives inputs, runs programs, and gives outputs. All computers and digital devices have processors, which vary in speed and power depending on their use and purpose. So, a processor used in a mobile phone will be much smaller and less powerful than one used in a supercomputer that predicts the weather or helps send rockets into space. A computer cannot work without the processor. And as the BBC microbit is a small pocket-sized computer, it has a microprocessor. This means it is a tiny electronic component with less power than a normal computer processor, which is one of the reasons your microbit is so small and can run on batteries. The microbit processor runs on the programs you create for your microbit. So, when you write a program in one of the online editors, then transfer it to your microbit, the processor is where your program runs. The processor fetches its instructions, the program you've written, from its memory, decodes them, decides what they mean, and executes them, carries out your instructions. So, if you write a program to instruct your microbit to flash a heart shape 3 times on the LED when button A is pressed, the processor detects the electrical current made when you press the button, fetches the instruction in the program that tells it what action to take, and then carries out the instruction. The LEDs will flash a heart 3 times. The processor also contains the microbit's temperature sensor. So when you use the microbit's temperature function, you can see how warm or cool the processor is. So you see, the microprocessor is a really vital part of your microbit.
So that's a video that I think sort of gives you a sense of the level of new subject content that is included in this wide subject area. And it's conceptually there's a lot of theoretical and conceptual knowledge to develop as for understanding here for kids and again for teachers who are learning too. And so it can be tough stuff to tackle. And so what we've seen in some of the work that we've seen children presenting in is actually what kids are capable of when you break down learning and make it simple. It's possible to learn this subject matter and to do great stuff with the knowledge that you develop. And it's exciting to take that out to kids and to teachers too. So back to professional development. Some of the things we wanted to address with the professional development courses that we've launched is that teacher shortage that exists around the world. We want to support educators to understand and deepen their understanding of this new subject matter. We address programming and computational thinking concepts, and we use microbit projects to help teachers to learn to teach the subject matter of computational thinking and programming with the microbit, with the projects that you can do to make things happen with the device. So we want to make those teachers better equipped to take these things into the classroom and better equipped to use technology creatively in the classroom. I think some of the things that we're learning about the design of curriculum for this area is that because it can be quite deep in conceptual knowledge, the more creative that you can design your curriculum, the more creative ways of learning the subject and making it accessible, then the better chances of interesting children and more children who may not see themselves as technical or may not be drawn to STEM subjects. So, and what do we know? As teachers learn, more students learn too. So that you can see at a glance the types of areas that we're covering. Networks and radio, sensing and making sound, gesture and movement, looking specifically at the programming concept of loops, and then looking at practical tips for teachers in the classroom, and also how to talk to your students about computing concepts. Some of the other things that we do in all of the work that is made available for free is we work in partnership with Microsoft on the Make Code editor. This was originally designed for the microbit at the BBC with Microsoft. It's now used for many different projects and different products, but its original design was for the microbit. We continue to work in partnership with Microsoft on this. That's the blocks-based editor. Then we have a new Python editor designed to offer simple introductions to text-based programming and to hopefully appeal to more kids beyond the student who may be kind of technically drawn to it. We want more kids to have a go, basically, and see how they get on. We also have a management tool designed for teachers who wanted help with basically distributing and managing children's work when they're coding. So we designed Microbit Classroom and we launched it right at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. And so what we saw was teachers putting this to use as more and more teachers needed to use remote teaching in their work. Tools like this help them to continue maintaining lessons and saving records of work. And it became popular for its use like that. And it's designed for teachers to help them to manage what's going on when they're in the classroom. We produce educational resources and quite a wide range of them, and they're all available for free on the site. We we work with community translators to make them available in different languages. So some of our projects, so in fact, all of our projects are available in Spanish. All of the Get Started content is available in Spanish. And the next round of translation for Spanish will be the new Teach section, plus the Python editor. So in that you get lessons, resources for subject literacy to learn your computing vocabulary, resources to help you to develop your algorithmic thinking, video tutorials, and also global goals, design thinking challenges. And this, as I wrap up, is what we'll look at finally. So a dedication to teachers, the most valuable asset of a school and a country's education system. Back to the quote that I love to share with people. But I can't overestimate, I cannot overestimate the importance of the teacher in the classroom to motivate children's learning and to know each individual student and to keep each individual student going with things to pursue their own interest. So back to the kids that we started with, all of these children and young people are here because they submitted their ideas to us, that they'd been creating their own prototypes, developing their own ideas when thinking about the challenges of climate change and other global goals that they've been learning about at school. And they developed their own ideas and created projects when thinking about the impacts of some of these things on the lives of people in their communities. And so I'll end by looking at a group of kids in a school in Colombia who introduced the Global Goals and Technology project to an existing social leadership project that they have been running at school for a long time. And it's a really nice example for me of the flexibility and adaptability of computing and technology education when it's done really nicely, because this was a long-standing education program setting students with the goal of thinking about people's lives in the community around them. And they added, well, how can we create solutions and think about those in computational ways, in design ways of thinking. And this group of kids prototyped their idea, which was about increasing access to clean drinking water for people living in rural communities. And I've got one final video to show you, and this is in Spanish, and this kid is sharing his project with the people for whom he's been thinking about when he's been doing his work.
Conocida como Micro, una plaquita que se encuentra aquí.
Hi, Michael. They have the micro here.
Nosotros podremos programar.
What we can do with these, that we can start programming.
Aquí entra la función de.
And here comes the function
Que se usó
of that was used to check the soundness of water. We take the sampling from the filter, and from these we take our results.
I think so. It's a short illustrative clip that shows the kids at the end of their project talking about what they've done and presenting in public their work, which doing that in alone is a great skill to develop. So a real interdisciplinary project there. And when we asked those kids, what have you learnt here? What have you learnt here? And what do you take away from what you've learnt here? They said, we will continue creating prototypes which help find solutions to social and climate problems, to things that matter to them or matter to people with whom they live beside. So and that's the end of my presentation here. I hope that what you've seen is a variety of what's possible for kids to achieve with this area, and hopefully been impressed, because I think that it's incredible what's possible, and terrifically exciting. And thank you for listening.
Many thanks, Magda, for such an enlightening presentation. I think, as you said it, we were and are impressed with the scope and the examples and all the evidence behind the impact of what you have been doing. For anyone who doesn't know, and I invite you to attend the other sessions as well, the microbit is a fundamental part of what we have been doing in Coding for Kids here in Colombia, Programación para Niños y Niñas. And it is the main technology device that we use to foster both our work with teachers and with students. So if you don't mind, Magda, we have received a lot of great questions from not only teachers and policymakers in Colombia, but from other countries. People from Ecuador say hi to you. So thank you, everyone, for sending their regards. I think the first and more important question is, out of all these great materials you have showed, are those available in Spanish?
Yeah, so most of them are, but not the professional development courses yet. Yeah, so the editors, so the actual tools that you do the programming with in Spanish, yes. So MakeCode is already available. The new Python editor will go live with a simulator in September, and that will be translated into Spanish. The Python editor includes supplementary in-context support for students. So it describes programming concepts, it gives you snippets of code, etc. All of our projects and our Get Started videos and projects are available in Spanish, and we now move on to translating some more of the educational content and the professional development courses. We like to work with community translators and proofreaders, and I would say if there's any multilingual people out there who especially have some subject knowledge, then please do get in touch, because as I'm sure you can imagine, making sure that the translation of technical subject matter is accurate and correct is really important, and that's an ongoing piece in the puzzle for good quality translation.
Great, thank you. That's exciting to hear. Also, it will allow us to invite others to also access the tools we have in Spanish through our program that are, again, based on the use of the microbit in our classrooms. The second question has to do with unpacking, which you've mentioned, but unpacking why it is that the microbit makes it more engaging for students. So we were all very impressed with the results, but what is it specifically about it that is more engaging for both teachers, students, and particularly girls? Do you think it's more because of the fact that it's hands-on, or why do you think that is?
Yeah, good question. Certainly absolutely vital to be able to talk about this stuff with physical computing. It's well, I think it's because, look, if you're looking at computing subject matter and you're identifying the thinking and planning process and the principles of programming concepts, it can be very dry. It can be very theoretical. It can be very screen-based. And therefore finding ways to unlock that information, unlock that subject matter, and learn about it in different ways is really helpful. Now, look, there's loads of great unplugged activities. So unplugged means learning about concepts, but not using a computer. And I know that you've got a great speaker from BCS John, who no doubt can talk about that because they have a fantastic program in Barefoot there. But it's introducing a different dynamic for learning, which includes learning to code, learning to plan something that you want to make to work and working out how to make it work. But then you have the final artifact in your hand with the microbit doing what it is that you wanted it to do for you. So it's got a range of features or functionalities that it can perform for you. And, you learn the theoretical subject matter as you go through the process of making the microbit work and do those things that you want it to do. I think that makes a big difference. It certainly makes a big measurable difference when we look at the impact data too.
Wonderful, thank you. And that is why precisely we have chosen that as the preferred technology, because it was designed from the very beginning with that purpose in mind.
Yeah, exactly.
We have all the evidence to back up how what you've said and speaks true to other countries is also reflected in the work we have done in Colombia. We can see a difference when the microbit is used in the classrooms. Last question before we close, because I'm afraid we have to move on with the agenda, is how much does the microbit cost? I know you mentioned that often some education systems, you strive to offer them for free. It is also worth pitching here that through our Coding for Kids program in Colombia, by the end of the year, we will have provided over 85,000 microbits across the Colombian schools. But people are asking for where they could access it and what the retail price goes for.
Yeah. So it depends how many microbits you're buying at a time. That can make it much cheaper if you're buying more, of course, which is why if you're buying for school or for a whole district or an entire country, it can really bring the price down. The unit price is roughly about £12, which I wouldn't be able to tell you what that is in dollars right now. 12 British pounds.
I mean, we can confirm it's just in Colombia right now, inflation's a little bit high, so it would be.
Yeah. And that's why, I think that's one of the good things about the way that our organisation works is that, so because we're responsible for the research and development of the actual hardware, we go to great pain to make sure that all of the microchips, everything that's included in the hardware is created and purchased for as low a price as possible. And we work with different semiconductor companies who design the stuff to make sure that it's made available cheaply for education. And then, like I said, we also source funding to help to make it available for free, but it is available for sale, and it does cost about, if you're buying it as a unit, it is about £12.
Would be like around $15.
I guess so. Yeah. Sorry.
No, thank you very much. I mean, it has been a privilege to have you in our policy dialogue. It is wonderful to confirm the great work you're doing around the world. And for anyone who wants to access these resources, we invite you to go to microbit.org. You'll find everything there. And Magda, thank you once again for joining. It was a privilege.
Well, Laura, thank you very much. I mean, we really have a lot of respect for the work that you're doing in the program in Colombia, and we know it's having fantastic results. So thanks very much for inviting me to come and talk. Thank you.